Sean McDermott has been fired as head coach of the Buffalo Bills, but Brandon Beane stays. My instant live reaction is coming your way right now.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is in playoff mode, and every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, folks, welcome in. Huge news to start this Monday. Sean McDermott fired as head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Brandon Beane staying as the general manager and leading a search for a new head coach. I am coming to you very quickly after this news releases. This is the least prepared I'll ever be for a podcast, and I'm just here to react, respond, to think through this with you, because I know we all have a lot of thoughts and questions, and we'll do it together here right now on this episode of Locked On Bills. We will have tons of coverage coming your way. We're going to work to get a roundtable of Bill Squad later today. We will be talking all about this from every angle, as we will talk all things Buffalo Bills throughout the course of the entire year, daily here on Locked On Bills. But wow, right? Like, wow, they really did it. They let Sean McDermott go. All the success, historic success, but obviously one big thing missing. And it's not just a Super Bowl win, it's a Super Bowl appearance. There was obviously a big consequence for losing in Denver. And obviously it wasn't just about losing in Denver. It's however many, 6 years in a row of winning at least one playoff game, and you don't have anything to show for it. You don't have anything to show for it. We talked about this a few different times lately, where the Bills became just the fourth team in the history of the NFL to win a playoff game in at least 6 consecutive years. The other 3 teams had 3 Super Bowl wins to show for it, and the Bills haven't even gotten there. I certainly understand that you can't just pick up the pieces and try again next year. Something needed to change. There needed to be a shakeup. But consider me very surprised that shakeup is Sean McDermott, especially because Brandon Beane stays. And I want to commit some time here in the next segment to talking a little bit more about that piece. But for right now, I just want to reflect on just the fact that Sean McDermott is not going to be the head coach. It leads me to so many different questions. Starting with who? Who do you bring in to be the replacement? And obviously, the NFL must think pretty highly of the candidates in this cycle, because what is this, 10 vacancies? 10. I mean, what there's some massive pressure on whoever this person is to come in and replace Sean McDermott. Was it the right decision? I guess I'm glad that something's going to be different, but I really do struggle with Brandon Beane staying on as this team's general manager. But there's certainly this is Terry Pegula saying there has to be a consequence for this. We can't continue to get this far when we need to get this far and just keep rallying and trying again. Josh Allen entering his age 30 season next year. You do look at the signs that maybe were there. Sean McDermott obviously was extremely animated in his post-game press conference, and he even took the time after the press conference to call the Buffalo News and give more thoughts on that end-of-game sequence against Denver on the catch versus no catch. That was a very emotional locker room, very emotional, with what you saw out of Josh Allen and what you saw out of Deion Dawkins. This was clearly a very high-stakes playoff run for the Bills. It felt like maybe everyone knew that this was do it or else. And the or else is Sean McDermott has been let go. One thing I will not do is sit before you today and celebrate that a man lost his job. Sean McDermott's a good man, and maybe he didn't lead us to the results we all wanted, but there's nothing to celebrate about that man not having a job. And he's going to get one. And I'm fascinated to find out, where he goes. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes to Pittsburgh. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes to Baltimore. If you're Miami, you think about it. If Sean McDermott wants to coach in 2026, he will be someone's head coach. Absolutely. He absolutely will. He'll land on his feet. And, look, I have no doubt in my mind he poured everything he could into this Buffalo Bills football team. And unfortunately, for a number of different reasons, it hasn't worked out. Has it sometimes been his fault? Yes. And let me be careful. When I say it hasn't worked out, I mean it hasn't worked out in getting to the Super Bowl. The Bills' problems are different than other teams' problems, right? They've set a baseline. They've set a standard. There's a clear foundation that exists. It's not you can't win a division or you can't win a bunch of games or you can't get to the postseason. That's why a lot of coaches get fired. Sean McDermott's getting fired or got fired because ultimately you've had 7 chances at a playoff run with Josh Allen, 6 times winning at least one, and you don't have a Super Bowl appearance to show for it. Very, very, very unique circumstances. And so you're looking for a coach that's going to step into these shoes and get it done. And this coach will have to get it done with Brandon Beane sticking as general manager. And that is the piece of this that confuses me a ton. I figured if one were going to survive, that it would be Sean McDermott over Brandon Beane. But the opposite has happened. I've started to calibrate my mind actually for, what does a GM search look for? What does a GM search look like? But instead, I find myself on this Monday morning having to react to Sean McDermott's firing and the need now to find his replacement. So coming up next, let's talk about Brandon Beane staying. And then we'll get into candidates. And boy, I struggle to come up with the list, but I have some ideas. And hopefully if you're part of the live audience here on YouTube, you can share some ideas as well, because I'm doing this raw. I don't have notes. I had 3 talking points. Wow, Beane stays in candidates. And so we're going to do it here live as we all work together to respond to massive news out of One Bills Drive. Sean McDermott out as head coach. We'll talk about more here next. Folks, be sure to stick with me. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressured football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. There's no drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks is quick and simple. The app is easy to navigate, and it's going to make watching games even more exciting, especially when you're following individual player performances, and you'll love the new early payouts feature. That's a game changer. If a player starts hot, you can cash out before the game ends. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, that's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Folks, the playoffs are here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets you like the most. So make sure you open that profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. And it's going to be fun for you. Every play is going to feel bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. So you make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Welcome back, folks. Shawn McDermott out as Bills head coach. There's tons of news coming through, and we're trying to react to it as quickly as we can. And we don't have all the nuggets. We don't have them all. We're doing this live right now, and I want to focus our conversation now on the piece of this that confuses me the most, and it's that Brandon Beane stays as general manager. There has clearly been friction between Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott throughout the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. I've called it out a few times on the podcast, but it's become pretty obvious. You've seen them take shots at each other. Let's go back to the big fallout after the draft where Brandon Beane goes on WGR 550 and talks to Jeremy White and goes crazy about wide receivers and saying it's not wide receivers. We scored more points than any team last year. It's the defense. It's Sean McDermott's defense. He didn't specifically say Sean McDermott, but he said it's the defense. It's the defense. He went on all the imaginable media circuits you could go on and wanted to let you know that it was the defense. Well, that's basically saying it's Sean McDermott. Showed a lot of ego there. And then you get into the season, and there's the trade deadline that wasn't. The guy had an apology press conference to let everyone know that he's sorry for not being able to get a trade done, which obviously Sean McDermott didn't love, because how many times did he take an opportunity to praise the Jaguars for trading for Jacoby Myers and Greg Newsome and how those moves really helped that football team? And then there's the Darius Slay fiasco, which killed the Bills. You not only do you not get Darius Slay, but you lose Jamarcus Ingram. And down the stretch, you don't have the outside corners that you need. Maxwell Harrison's getting hurt. And then you get to a playoff game, and you don't have Maxwell Harrison. You don't have Jamarcus Ingram. Trey White has to miss a snap, and they throw a touchdown against Dane Jackson's coverage. It cost the Bills in a big way. That's not even getting into other investments that haven't worked. There's not as much as needed to show for the last few draft classes. Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, your plan at receiver. Your plan to optimize Josh Allen has failed. You didn't optimize Josh Allen. You said, you know what? We're going to invest in the defense. We're going to invest in our offensive line and run game, and we have Josh Allen so he can figure it out at quarterback. How does Beane survive? How does Brandon Beane survive Sean McDermott? I would understand if Sean McDermott survived Brandon Beane, and I think most people would. I think most people would understand if Sean McDermott survived Brandon Beane. But it's the other way around. To me, your options were you replace them both or you replace just Brandon Beane. But that's not where we're at. That's not where we're at. They kept Beane. They kept Beane. All the money invested in pass rushers. Don't have enough to show for it. This is very, very interesting to me. Very interesting to me. Brandon Beane survived Sean McDermott. I just have a hard time watching that football team and thinking to myself, you know what? It's the head coach more than it's the general manager. I thought Sean McDermott got a ton out of that football team. I think he coached above his talent the last 2 years. The difference is this. The Bills didn't turn the ball over last year. They overcame their lack of talent in 2024, Josh Allen's MVP season, because they didn't turn over the ball and they took it away all the time. Well, fast forward to 2025, and you weren't able to overcome those issues because now you turned the ball over and you didn't take it away as much. But simultaneously, I thought Shawn McDermott got a lot out of his players. And I feel like the culture that exists in Buffalo, the togetherness, the bond, has a whole lot more to do with Sean McDermott than Brandon Beane. So you can understand why I'm extremely confused that Beane is the one that stays over McDermott. And if I'm Shawn McDermott today, you know what I'm saying? The best offseason we had, as I'm getting a little sloppy here, I'm getting crazy. The best offseason we had was the one without Brandon Beane. It's the one where in free agency, I went out and I signed Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. Heck of a couple of free agent signings. I'm the one that led the draft that got us Trey White, Deion Dawkins, and Matt Milano, and created the draft capital to move up for Josh Allen the next year. I'd say, give me a GM that I can align with, and I can come up with those types of moves versus this guy that continues to get okay players but not great players. And I also think about this dynamic. Now you have a GM and a head coach that are going to be on different timelines, right? You got a GM and Brandon Beane that's been there for as long as he's been there, right? Obviously tight with Terry Pagula. I think we learned about who's tighter with Pagula. It's Beane than McDermott. And now you're hiring a new coach, and the pressure that this puts on Brandon Beane is massive. You're telling us that you're a head coach away. That's what you're telling us. You're a head coach away. The GM stays. Boy, we better not feel like this roster doesn't have the talent this year. That can't be the case, right? It can't be the case. We cannot watch the 2026 Bills and think, you know what, they didn't have the talent, because you kept the guy that picks the talent over the head coach that I think has maximized it. So this is just a peculiar position to be in. A peculiar position to be in. Brandon Beane stays. Brandon Beane stays. I know Sean McDermott didn't have his fans. That's fine. I'm sure they're taken their victory lap today. But Brandon Beane stays. What a huge amount of pressure for him to get this talent right and for this head coach to maximize it. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. I love the idea of the unknowns to an extent. I love that Josh Allen's still going to be this team's quarterback. But a major shakeup here. A major shakeup here. It's not just Aaron Kromer, folks. Not just Aaron Kromer who retired. A lot is going to change. And maybe that's good. Maybe that's good. As long as you have Josh Allen, then obviously you're in a good spot. But to go with Beane over McDermott is a decision that confuses me a ton. All right, let's talk about candidates. And if you're part of this YouTube live audience, which I thank you for being here, fill up the comments with candidates that you are interested in or candidates that you would like me to react to, because this is all really fresh, and I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about the candidates in play. So let's do that here on the other side of it. And folks, if you are part of this audience, Locked On Bills is a daily podcast all year long. We are going to cover everything extensively with the type of analysis that we've delivered for years here on Locked On Bills. So make sure that you are subscribed and keep it yourself dialed in all offseason long here on Locked On Bills. All right, we'll talk candidates here next. So folks, be sure to stick with me. Hey guys, the draft picks are set and so many teams are looking for their franchise quarterback. Ever wished to become a pro quarterback? Getting drafted first overall by the Bills? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number 1 draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness and to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the number 1 QB career mode game on the mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environments with full career control. You're going to sign contracts, train and upgrade yourself, build chemistry and evolve your teammates, give input to your GM on the roster, play the actual games in 2D, and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a QB career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice shapes your journey. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. So just head on over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store. We got something special just for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB, football legend QB1, it's your legacy. Joe Marino here, host of Locked On Bills, and every episode of this podcast that I have hosted, Sean McDermott's been the head coach. So we got a new head coach to learn. And not only do we have a new head coach to learn, we got to learn who the new head coach is, right? Woo! Happy Monday. Happy Martin Luther King Day to you. Jeez. Big news. All right. So the Bills need a new head coach. Who is it? Let's talk candidates. My mind initially goes to, okay, Josh Allen is your quarterback. And surely Josh Allen has a lot of say in these types of things. Brian Daboll's out there. He's now experienced with Josh Allen. There's a proof of concept with Josh Allen. He's been an NFL head coach. Is that where you go? How about Davis Webb? They offered him the quarterback coach job because of he has a great relationship with Josh Allen. They offered it to him, and he said he wanted to play one more year. He went to the Giants. And now he's the passing game coordinator for the Broncos. He's gotten other head coaching interviews. I've heard nothing but great things from people I've spoken to about Davis Webb. And I've spoken to a lot of people. And Davis Webb comes up as just one of the smartest people, best on the whiteboard. He's got a relationship with Josh Allen. I don't think you can overlook talking about him. What other names? What are people thinking of? This is crazy. Can I say this about John Harbaugh? I'm okay not getting John Harbaugh. I think John Harbaugh had similar issues to the Bills with less playoff success under their current iteration. But also, John Harbaugh is a coach that's coordinator dependent on both sides of the ball. Normally your head coach is going to have a major influence offensively or defensively. With Harbaugh, you got to have the right OC and the right DC. People are bringing up the name Bruce Arians. I know Bruce Arians loves Josh Allen. I think Bruce Arians is retired. But boy, I'd love it. Yeah, sure. Let's go get Bruce Arians. If he wants to coach, go do it. Yeah, people bringing up the name Mike McDaniel. Why? Not only is that a scheme that I think is horrible for Josh Allen, you want to talk about the opposite of a championship mindset, poor leader of men. Can we just not do that? People bring up Clint Kubiak. That sounds interesting to me. Now you gotta wait for him to get done with his run in Seattle. But yeah, what Clint did with the Saints and what Clint did with Seattle. If you want the hot name, the hot offensive name, that's interesting to me. Robert Saleh is very interesting to me. Now he's going to have to nail the offensive coordinator. What if you get a Robert Saleh, Mike LaFleur combo? That was the original combo with the Jets, but you get that LaFleur influence, which is, from that McVay tree with Saleh. I wouldn't mind it. People bringing up Jesse Minter. If we're going Jesse Minter, just keep Sean McDermott. If you're going to go hot shot coordinator, it's got to be offensive-minded hot shot coordinator, right? Jim Schwartz being tossed out there. It's a big decision. It's a big decision. Big decision. Big decision. John Gruden? I don't think so. Can we be honest about what John Gruden's done? Yeah, I don't see it with John Gruden. Belichick? Tomlin? Oh, this is crazy. I'll tell you what, Mike Tomlin, obviously a great resume, but you want to talk about just catastrophically bad coaching decisions. If you like cowardly punts, then you're going to love Mike Tomlin. I like the leadership piece of Mike Tomlin. Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich's run his course as a head coach. I just want to get excited about it. That's where I'm at with it. What names would get me excited? I guess I'd kind of get the Clint Kubiak thing, but I got to study him a little bit more. What's next for Sean McDermott? What's next for the Bills? Joe Brady? Joe Brady's a name I keep seeing in the chat. Wouldn't that be something, huh? Joe Brady. There's a name that we can't overlook. David put it in the chat. Mike McCarthy. It's a guy, he's won a Super Bowl. He's had success in 2 different places. Wow, we have so much to learn. So much to learn here. So much to learn. New era of Buffalo Bills football is coming. It's going to be a new stadium. Josh Allen will be the quarterback. Brandon Beane's going to be the GM. Sean McDermott won't be the head coach. Somebody else will do it. Someone else is going to do it. And reading a tweet from Eric Wood, and I kind of feel the same way. Eric Wood said, Sean McDermott was an incredible hire for the Bills when he took over in 2017. I'm grateful for all he did for the organization. Sean is a great man. It will be a great hire for another organization, and I hate we couldn't get over the hump with him as head coach in Buffalo. I think that's a great way to sum it up. I hate that we couldn't get over the hump with him in Buffalo. I hate it. I think he did all he could. I just wish that he had a little bit more to work with. And that's why I just don't understand the Brandon Beane stays piece of this. But the friction was obvious between him and Beane. And I think we learned where Terry Pagula sided with it. All right, this has been a lot of fun, I guess. I don't even know what the word is. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. Interesting, curious. But the Bills have a huge decision to make, and we got a lot to talk about here on this podcast. So just know that we're going to cover it every step of the way. We might be back with Bill Squad later today. I'm actively trying to get that together, so hopefully we have that for you. But Sean McDermott out as head coach of the Bills. Brandon Beane stays. And an offseason full of questions. Just got another big question to answer. We'll talk about it all here on Locked On Bills, folks. Thanks for being here. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.